Hi everyone, welcome to the class. Today we'll start with introduction to the second year chemistry syllabus. As per NCERT chemistry syllabus, so what are all the units we have? So we'll try to see the details of the unit first. Then, so we'll start with one of the important unit. So in the physical chemistry. Now, as we know, the branch chemistry so is classified under physical chemistry, inorganic chemistry, and organic chemistry. So we have a total of 16 units as per NCERT given curriculum. So in the 16 units, so due to COVID, so in the last academic session, so that is 2021, the CBSE board has reduced 30% of the syllabus prescribed for 12th standard. The same is implemented by our Karnataka State Board. So the 3 units, so in the 16 is being deleted along with few topics in the remaining units. So that we'll discuss which are all the topics when we are dealing with the units individually. So if any changes for this particular continuation of the academic year, so that is for 21-22, so we'll try to see whatever the changes implemented by the board. So I will update to you in the later classes. So as of now, we'll try to follow the last year reduced pattern of syllabus. So first we'll know what are all the units has been deleted. Hope it may continue for the present batch also, that is for your batch. So they may retain the same. Along with that, so they may reduce few more content or they may increase few units which have been deleted earlier. So whatever is the thing, so we'll try to follow as per the guidelines given by the board. Now whatever it is retained in the earlier academic slot, that is in the 2021, so we'll try to start with those units first, right, to have a continuation. So we'll try to see with the linking units. Now, so I will discuss in the 16 units. So what are all the units are retained as per the 13, that is 30% reduced portion. Now, the solid state, so we studied states of matter in the first PUC. Gaseous state and liquid state we learned in detail. Now there is a continuity with the next physical state of matter. It is a solid state in detail. We are learning under physical chemistry branch. Next, the second unit solution. Next, electrochemistry. The fourth, we have kinetics, chemical kinetics. The fifth, we have surface chemistry. All these 5 units are retained in the syllabus. So no unit from physical chemistry portion is deleted. So hence we'll follow all the units. Little weightage, so changes if any, we'll try to discuss. So actually there is no change in the weightage of physical chemistry blueprint also. They have retained the same. So that and all we'll discuss in the individual units later. Then, so with respect to inorganic chemistry, so this unit 6 is being deleted under 30% reduced syllabus. So we don't know whether it will be continued or not. So as of now, so we'll try to consider this as a deleted unit. So this is metallurgy in symbol. So next, unit 7 P block is a continuation from first PUC concepts. We have 15th, 16th, 17th and 18th group elements to learn in detail under the P block elements. Then next unit, it is a continuation of the classification of elements. So we have the D and F block elements to learn. And we have a special type of inorganic salts as coordination compounds or complex salts. So its importance, so we'll try to learn. So by understanding what are those compounds, how to name them and how to understand its classification, nomenclature, everything we'll try to learn. So with sophisticated information explained from the various theories that we'll try to see later. So now 3 units under inorganic chemistry we have. So 5 under physical chemistry, 3 under inorganic chemistry, 1 is deleted as per the continuity of the previous syllabus pattern. Next, so we have very important with respect to organic chemistry branch. So in the first PUC you have so less number of units in organic, right? So here we have nearly 7 units. So, but in this, so unit 15 and unit 16, so under the 30% reduced syllabus, they have deleted these last two units. So hence in the beginning now, so we'll not take up these units. So we'll try to consider later as per the new guidelines. If these units are included, we'll try to take, or else will be under deleted portion. Now the remaining units will try to focus. So all are important organic compounds with functional groups. So halogen containing organic compounds as haloalkanes and haloarenes. Then alcohols, phenols, and ethers. Then under carbonyl compounds, we have aldehydes, ketones, and carboxylic acids. Then as nitrogen containing organic compounds, we have the unit amines. Then in relating the chemistry aspects to the living system, right? So we have a very important branch under chemistry called biochemistry. So to give the importance of that in relating the chemistry to the living system, we have an interesting unit to learn, so which is biomolecules. So PCMB students in the first PUC you have learned biomolecules under biology. Now we'll recall the concepts and structurally, chemically will relate the content under chemistry syllabus. Now these are all the overall weightage of the units what we have under the three branches. So physical chemistry, all the units are retained. So then inorganic chemistry, we have 3 units. Organic, we have 5. So 3 units as per previous reduced syllabus. We don't know whether the changes may retain or may changes. So we'll try to consider that later. So now, so with this basic information about the syllabus, so individual weightage of the each unit, so we'll start discussing in the respective units. Right. So with this basic information of NCERT syllabus overview, so we'll go with understanding one of the important units, so of physical chemistry. So I am starting this unit in the beginning because, so with respect to physical chemistry or our board exam paper, so first 2 questions will be from this unit. 1 mark 2 questions will be from this unit. So hence we'll try to go with importance of this unit to understand as per the content given. So few topics in this is reduced in the reduced syllabus. So we'll try to see that later. Now we'll try to start with understanding the concepts from one of the major unit of physical chemistry. So it is unit solutions. So many of this basic information about solutions and all you learned from your first PUC first unit, some basic concepts of chemistry. There, expressing the concentration of solution, we had few simple expression terms, that is percentage composition, mole fraction, and molarity we learned. So in continuity with that, we'll try to extend this unit. So the weightage of unit we'll try to see first. Solutions unit, so as per the Karnataka State Board blueprint pattern, so we have 8 hours of teaching for the unit, so which covers 2 questions of 1 mark. Since 2 questions each carries 1 mark, will cover 2 marks for the final exam. Then 1 question carries 5 marks as a long question will be asked, so that will be for 5 marks. So total the weightage of the unit is 2 plus 5, so it is 7 mark weightage from the new reduced syllabus pattern also, but actually it is retained from the earlier, that is, so when the syllabus was introduced, so in the year 2013, the first examination as per the NCERT syllabus taken by Karnataka State Board, from 2014 examination onwards, so this blueprint is maintained as such. The reduced syllabus also, they have retained the syllabus pattern of solutions unit in the same way. So it is having 2 questions of 1 mark and 1 question of 5 mark, very important. In this 5 mark, 3 mark will be asked on numerical problem. It's a fixed topic. So for the examination point of view, so hence we need to focus much on understanding and solving the numerical problems when we are learning the unit. So 3 mark in the 5 mark will be a definite numerical problem that we'll try to discuss it later. So now to begin with, so we'll start with learning what is a solution is. how we can define a solution, what are the components present in it, and how the solutions are classified. So we'll try to understand these particular information. So by recalling our basic information learned from first PUC. Okay. Now, to understand what is a solution, so we'll recall the classification of matter. Now we know that matter is anything that has mass and occupies space. Now, whatever we see around us, including the particles from which we are made up of, so everything is a matter. So everything or anything which has mass and occupies space is regarded as matter. We know that matter is classified on two basic criteria. One is physical classification of matter based on the existence. So we are classifying the matter on its physical state into solids, liquids, and gases. Whereas chemically, matter is classified into two further types as mixtures and pure substances. So mixtures again of two types, homogeneous and heterogeneous mixtures. Then, so with respect to pure compounds, we have elements, compounds, and all that we'll try to observe now. Now, so we'll take up the information of one of the chemical classification of matter we'll try to take up. So please try to recall the chemical classification. So we know that matter under chemical classification is broadly divided into mixtures and pure substances. In that, we'll recall what are homogeneous mixtures. So because our solutions are going to be a homogeneous mixture. Hence, before defining solution, we need to understand what is a homogeneous mixture is. Now, we know that what is a homogeneous mixture in which the components are uniformly mixed. Now, irrespective of any number of components, so if they are uniformly mixed with each other, then the resultant is going to be a homogeneous mixture. So hence, in homogeneous mixture, what we can see is that, so uniform mixing. So we are going to see uniform mixing of all the components, irrespective of the components present, irrespective of its nature and their number. If they are uniformly mixed with each other, then we can call such a mixture as homogeneous mixture. So this is already we know a basic information. Now this will try to extend, so how to relate the main concept of our particular unit, it is solutions. Now if we take a solution which is regarded as a true solution, so we are discussing in this unit, so true solution concept. So actually the solutions may be true solutions, colloids, or suspensions. Now we are going to discuss much in this unit regarding true solutions, right? Colloids concept, suspension and all we'll discuss under surface chemistry unit. I will try to relate so how a solution can be understood. Now if we take a solution, right, to consider any particular mixture as a solution, it should be a homogeneous mixture, right? So hence solution is defined as, so a homogeneous mixture of two or more components. A solution is always a homogeneous mixture of two or more components. It may be any number. If they are forming uniform mixing, then it is considered as a true solution. Now, if we understand these components which are forming the homogeneous mixture in a solution, so which is very important in extending the concept. Now, what are these components? How they are classified to form a solution is, so whatever the number of components in a homogeneous mixture forming a solution, so they are classified as two major types of components. So it is the solute and the solvent. So any number of components present in the solution are broadly classified into two types. They are solute and solvent. Again, this we have already learned from our first uses information. So just we are extending to relate its classification in detail. We will understand the components of the solution are broadly divided into solute component and solvent component. Now we'll relate. So what is a solute and what is a solvent? How we can identify certain components as solute and the other components as solvent? So generally, solute is defined as a component which is generally present to a lesser extent or in small quantity. So whatever the components in the homogeneous mixture forming a solution, so if it is present in small quantity or to a lesser extent, then so we can call such components as solute components. Hence, solute components are those generally present to a smaller extent, whereas solvent components are those so which are generally present to a larger extent. So generally, if they are present in larger quantity, so such components are generally regarded as solvent components. But this is not sufficient to understand the complete information regarding the solute and solvent. So because so in a highly concentrated solution, so we may not see the solute in lesser quantity or in lesser extent. So hence we need to understand few more concepts to relate its definition to understand in detail. So hence solute in exact terms so is defined as a component so which may or may not retain its identity. Which may retains or may not retain its identity in the solution. Whereas solvent is a component irrespective of its presence in the solution, whether it is in lesser or in larger quantity. So will always retain its identity. So solvent will always retains its identity in the solution. Hope you are getting. So try to focus and understand this second information very clearly, because the first one you know. The second thing is that so solute may or may not retain its identity in the solution, whereas solvent is a component which always retains its identity, right? Irrespective of its composition. So its identity is retained in the solution. For example, if I take a little quantity of sugar, which is solid physical phase, and if I add that into a glass of water, so where water is a liquid component, right? So solid sugar, so after adding into the liquid water, after some time, so we cannot see the crystals in the same particle size present in the solution, right? So hence, so solid, so may not seen as solid in the solution, but the liquid water remains as liquid only, right? So this is just an example I'm taking so for you to illustrate the information. So such components, right, whether in its pure form as well as in the solution form, if it retains its identity, then such component is solvent. If it loses its identity generally, right, sometimes it may retain, but majority of the cases it loses its identity. Such component is generally regarded as so solute, right? Such informations you try to remember exactly when you need to understand the solutions in detail, right? So with this basic information, you know how to understand a concentrated solution and a dilute solution. So this you try to relate it with the universal definition of solute and solvent. If the solute present is very negligible, right, so in the solution, then such solutions are said to be dilute solutions. Dilute solutions are those which contain very lesser quantity of solute when compared to solvent, whereas concentrated solutions are those which contain relatively a larger quantity of the solute right? So generally in the dilute or in the normal solution, solute is lesser. But if the solute quantity is not negligible, so it is having certain significance in measuring, so then such particular solution is called as concentrated. Generally, its quantity has some significance, right, when we are relating that as a concentrated solution, right? So it is not negligible, so it is considered to retain its particular information. So such a simple dilute and concentrated. So in measuring the solute component, we need to relate. Now, how to express that and all, we'll try to learn in detail. So by concentration terms, so the quantities used to express the concentration of solution, we'll try to take it in the next concepts. Hope this basic overview of solution is clear. Now, with respect to syllabus, so we have binary solutions to learn. Hence, so we'll start our importance with respect to solutions as binary solutions. Now, as the name itself indicates, so bi refers to two. When a solution is made up of only two components, then it is called as binary solution. Those solutions which are made up of only two components in them, that is one solute, one type of solute component it is, then one type of solvent components, then they are called as binary solution. If there is two types of solute, one type of solvent, or one type of solute, two types of solvent, so which are forming homogeneous mixture, is considered as ternary solution. Like that, so we can indicate the other type. So majority of the solutions are of binary. So what we are going to understand, so as per the syllabus, so we'll focus on binary solutions and its type in detail. Now, what is a binary solution? A solution which is made up of only two components, that is one type of solute and one type of solvent, are called as binary solutions. Hope this is clear. Now we'll try to understand in detail. So what are the different types of binary solution? We have 9 different types of binary solution based on the physical state of solute and solvent. We'll try to understand that now, so with the clear information. Now we'll discuss the different types of binary solution. Now, based on the physical state, based on the physical state of solute and the solvent, so we are classifying the binary solutions into 9 types. So those 9 types of binary solutions we'll try to consider. So actually it is 3 main types. So in that, each main type is divided into 3 subtypes. So that is how we'll try to understand. So with the clear information. Now this table overviews all the complete 9 types of the solution. Now you focus first here. So if the solvent is solid, then the solution is called as solid solution. If the solvent is solid, then the solutions are called as solid solution. Here, so you try to remember the information, the physical state of the solution. The physical state of solution, so it's determined only on the physical state of solvent. Irrespective of physical state of solute, the solvent physical state is retained in the solution. So that you can recall when I have explained the second definition regarding the solute and solvent, right? So physical state of the solvent decides the physical state of solution. So, and the deciding component of physical state of solution is solvent, not the solute. So if solute is solid, then it is first type under solid solution. If solute is liquid, second type under solid solution. If solute is gas, then it is the third type under solid solution. Hence, solid solutions are further divided into 3 types based on the nature of solute. If the solute is solid, liquid, or gas, the type of the solution, right? So with respect to its physical state, it is same, but the type will differ because solute component physical state going to be vary in it, right? So this classification is very important. You can expect a 1 mark questions in this. So either they may ask the question in such a way that, so give an example of a solid solution where solute is solid, or give an example of solid solution where solute is liquid. Like this, they may frame the question. You remember, if it is a solid solution, then solvent should be always solid, but solute may be solid, liquid, or gas. Hence, so physical state of solute varies, but solvent remains always same. Now we'll discuss one simple example to understand these type of solution. You think solid and solid both should form a homogeneous mixture. We know that if two metals to form a homogeneous mixture, then the resultant name for that is called as alloys. Alloys are the best example, right? So I have given two examples here, bronze and brass. Then another example, solution of copper in gold. Now, whatever the ornamental gold we are going to use, right? It is not so hard if it is in the pure gold form. So little copper is required to give its hardness. So hence copper is made as a homogeneous mixture in gold in preparing the ornamental gold, right? Hence that is an example of an alloy, so which is a solid solution where solute is solid. Similarly, so bronze and brass, if you take, so both contains copper. So one is with tin, another one is with zinc. Now copper with tin as a homogeneous solution forms an alloy of bronze. So tin is Sn with its representative symbol of the element. So then copper and zinc, so as a homogeneous mixture, so will be regarded as an alloy brass. Like this, there are many metal alloys can be taken as example under this type. Next, you think solvent should be solid. That means the bulk component, which is present as a larger component, is solid, but smaller quantity as a liquid. So you think the best example for this again with metals. So recall a liquid metal, right? So D block liquid metal. So you can remember easily it is mercury. So mercury is the liquid metal. So any solid metal with liquid mercury, so is regarded as amalgam. Amalgam is the name used to indicate a homogeneous solution with mercury. Now sodium being a solid metal, so which is with bulk quantity or larger quantity, a small quantity of mercury in that, if it forms a homogeneous mixture, then the amalgam of sodium obtained is called as a solid solution where solute is liquid. Hence amalgams are the example of solid solution where solute is liquid. Then the last example under the third type of solid solution, so it is the solute is gas. So recall, maximum quantity should be solid, a smaller quantity should be the gas. So here the best example, if you take a palladium, palladium is a solid substance, palladium metal. So onto the palladium, you slowly pass the hydrogen gas. So what happens is that hydrogen gas first adhere on the surface of the palladium. That means it sticks on the surface of the palladium first. Then it slowly enters into the bulk of the matter. Inside the palladium, it will enter and will form a homogeneous mixture. So such a homogeneous mixture, so which is hydrogen gas adsorbed in palladium, is the best example of this type, so which is mentioned under example. So please try to remember one simple example, so to explain each type. So similarly, liquid solutions are those in which solvent is liquid. So to call the solution as liquid solution, so the physical state of solvent should be liquid. So again, in this we have three types. Solute may be solid, liquid, or gas. So you think the simple example. So now if you add sugar into liquid water, sugar is solid, so liquid water is solvent. So sugar solution. Or you add little salt to the water, salt solution. Like this, any solid component which is dissolving in the respective water can be taken as aqueous solutions, so as solid solutions. That means liquid solution where solute is solid. Then second type here, so liquid, that means solute is also liquid. Here you think of two mixable or miscible compounds. So both the components should mix with each other. So alcohol and water, that is methanol and water, ethanol and water. So like this miscible liquids you can take. Now ethanol dissolved in water, alcoholic water can be taken as so liquid solution where solute is also liquid. Then liquid solution where solute is gas. This you can think of easily, any soda water or soft drinks. So what we are going to observe, right? So in that, as soon as the lid of the bottle, if it is opened, so you can see that the bubbles will come out in the form of effervescence, right? Now, whatever that bubbles are coming, it is due to the dissolved carbon dioxide gas in the liquid. Hence, carbon dioxide gas dissolved in water or soda water or carbonated drinks. Anything can be given as best example to understand this type. So where the solute is gas. Then the last type, so it is gas solution where solvent will be gas, to call the solution as gas solution. Then solute may be solid, solute may be liquid, or solute may be gas, but solvent will be gas. Then you can think, so solid as a solute present in gas solvent, solid in gas solution. Example, camphor, if you take in nitrogen gas, the camphor will mix with nitrogen gas to form a homogeneous mixture. So will be the best example for this. Then liquid as a solute in the gas medium. So you can take humidity and the moisture, right? So whatever the moisture present in air can be taken as the example of this type. Then gas in gas. So you take any number of gases. Gases are always forms homogeneous mixture. Whatever the gas you mix with any other gas, right? So it will always result in a homogeneous mixture. Hence, air is the best example. So in that you can take any mixture of two gases, for example, oxygen and nitrogen, or oxygen and carbon dioxide. So like this, you can take any two binary mixtures for the example, or in general, a homogeneous mixture where solute and solvent is gas. So you can give it as air. So this is in simple, the 9 different types or classifications of binary solution. You try to remember this point as an important thing. So physical state of the solvent decides the physical state of solution. Hence, solvent, if it is solid, then solid solution. Solvent is liquid, then it is liquid solution. If solvent is gas, then it is gas solution. Hence, solvent physical state will not vary in forming the solution, but solute physical state may retain or may loses its identity after becoming a solution, right? So this is in simple, so and will be very easy to understand the concept, right? So this you try to concentrate now, right? So remaining concepts we'll try to extend in our next class. So as it is the beginning class, I have taken very simple concepts. So majority of all these concepts you learned. So please focus these concepts to understand, then try to understand the questions and answers based on the topics for what it is explained. Okay, so remaining, so we'll try to continue in our next class. Thank you.